Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's budget presentation receives feedback from key interest groups. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 5th October 2023, brought to you in association with our friends at Antillian Group. Details when we return.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's a service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Minister of Finance, Colm Imbert, says one of the main objectives of the 2024 fiscal package is to help the people at the lowest end. Speaking at a post-budget forum hosted by the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association, Minister Imbert noted the increase in the minimum wage is being welcomed by the business sector.
We need to be careful about this, and I'm so happy to hear that the rate that we chose, that $3 increase, which is a significant increase, 17%, and when we did the maths, some minimum wage workers will get as much as $500 extra per month. Some might get $900, security guards and so on. And it's tax-free because they're below the threshold in terms of the tax rate.
The finance minister said the decision to give a $1,000 book grant will also help needy families in addition to the standardization of textbooks.
And I'm talking about things like physics and mathematics and chemistry. These things don't change much. Obviously, history and things like that are going to change. But there's no reason why you would change a chemistry textbook. I mean, I know the Minister of Education is a chemist, and I'm sure she could attest to that. But the chemical reaction remained the same, It didn't change.
In the meantime, food security, digital wallets, and financial inclusion all featured in the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce's annual post-budget meeting. On Monday, Finance Minister Colm Imbert presented a $1 billion fiscal package. TTT's Terry-Ann Brown Campbell has that story.
The 2023-24 budget seemed to have a varied impact on business stakeholders. This was evident as the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce reviewed the budget presented by Minister of Finance Colm Imbert in Parliament on Monday. During his contribution to the forum, TNT International Financial Center Chief Executive Officer John Outridge noted this is still a cash society, citing a recent study conducted by the center.
And the challenge is 65% of retail payments are still done in cash in Trinidad and Tobago. When we look at the central bank stability report, I would say year on year, the cash usage in terms of cash over withdrawals from ATMs is increasing at about $10 billion every year.
Another presenter questioned whether Finance Minister Imbert's provision for 3 new licenses for companies to provide e-wallets in the budget is a sound decision.
We're all saying we all need wallets. Wallets are the solution, but I'm not too sure that we've really analyzed what is root cause. Because you would see we do have these things available and adoption is low. So if adoption is low, is adding more really the solution?
And founder and proprietor of Immortal Beauty, Catherine Nils, made a point about financial inclusion for small and micro enterprises.
And what I saw small businesses saying was that 70-something% of us do not have business accounts because it is too hard. It is too difficult. The list of requirements, the administrative requirements, they are both...
During the $54 billion budget presentation, education, health, and national security sectors got the largest allocations. Terry-Ann Brown Campbell, TTT News.
In other news, Bahamian Prime Minister Philip Davis delivers remarks on the opening of Climate Finance of the Americas meeting on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. Desmond Saunders of ZNS News reports.
Well, I'm coming to you live from the Atlantis Resort, the site for the fourth Inter-American meeting of ministers and high-level authorities, regional leaders for the next 2 days engaging in high-level discussions addressing the challenges of climate change and the move towards sustainable development. During yesterday's official opening, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, who has been a vocal advocate on this issue, reiterated the need for collaboration towards a climate fight.
We're here to build solutions in climate finance and sustainable development at a time when such solutions can no longer be postponed. In order to survive the changing climate, we need to cooperate, we need to coordinate, and we need to collaborate. Climate finance and sustainable development are paired together because without the first, you cannot have.
The Bahamas experienced 14 major storms over the last 20 years, racking up billions of dollars in damages. The impact of monster storms in the country severe. Climate financing, a major priority.
We build climate finance solutions that free up resources in this new era of extreme weather. We work to overhaul multilateral institutions so that they can de-risk and incentivize new ventures and partnerships, and unleash funding at the scale needed for robust action and investment. We fight to make sure industrialized countries keep their promises, both old and new.
Over the next 3 days, delegates from several countries will focus on the threat of climate change and the need for collective hemispheric action. The Prime Minister expressing optimism over the climate change fight.
It is true that our challenges are not identical, and we will not agree on every issue. But I know we will identify many opportunities for collaboration and for shared advocacy going into COP28. Although we acknowledge the gravity of the threats we face, there are many reasons to be hopeful. A new generation of activists is leading with energy and passion.
Now, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, becoming more direct than he's ever been in advocating small island developing states be gifted financially the funds owed by larger first world countries as compensation for the negative impacts resulting from climate change. Davis says building resilience through climate financing is key in mitigating against the negative impacts of climate change. This is the message the nation's leader says, and he relayed this to members of the Organization of American States, or the OAS, this morning as he addressed the high-level climate finance in the Americas meeting currently underway at the Atlantis Resort on Paradise Island.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
In association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Over the weekend, Guyana's President Irfan Ali called on Guyanese to understand the challenges caused by prolonged power outages from Guyana Power and Light. He reassured the public that his administration is actively working to address the issue. Shamar Aline of HGP Nightly News provides some details.
Over the past weeks, there have been prolonged power outages, and President Irfan Ali at the weekend committed to fixing the issue. During a Facebook live stream, the head of state said he wanted to update Guyanese on the prevailing circumstances and beg for their understanding as his administration worked to remedy the situation.
The truth be told, the pace at which we are growing would require us to double our capacity as quickly as possible. Our generating capacity needs to be more than double if we are to keep pace with the type of development and projections that we are seeing. That is why the gas to shore, the gas to energy project, and the hydroelectric project is so important for us in the national scheme of things.
Further, the Guyanese leader did not shy away from bashing the previous administration over maintenance on the transmission lines, coupled with little or no investment in base load generation capacity.
Came into office, the company was in total collapse financially. In government arrears alone, they had $13 billion outstanding to GPL. $13 billion outstanding to GPL. This was money we had to find to save the company from financial collapse. Outside of this, the capital program, the maintenance program, the investment program was really non-existent.
As a short-term fix to the power outages, the Guyana Power and Light, the country's main electricity generating company, has procured reconditioned containerized generator sets which will be installed by Christmas. According to President Ali, long-term measures will include the gas to shore and the Amelia Falls hydropower projects.
These investments we are making, understanding the circumstances and the challenges we are faced with.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, Shamar Allen.
And now we join Renata Burnett of HGP Nightly News for a short regional roundup.
The UN Security Council is scheduling a vote on Monday on a resolution that would authorize a one-year deployment of an international force to help Haiti quell a surge in gang violence and restore security so the troubled Caribbean nation can hold long-delayed elections. The U.S. drafted resolution welcomes Kenya's offer to lead the multinational security force. The resolution would authorize the force for 1 year, with a review after 9 months. The force would be allowed to provide operational support to Haiti's national police, which is underfunded and under-resourced, with only some 10,000 active officers for a country of more than 11 million people. It says the force would help build the capacity of local police through the planning and conduct of joint security support operations as it works to counter gangs and improve security conditions in Haiti. Passage by the Security Council would authorize the force to adopt urgent temporary measures on an exceptional basis to prevent the loss of life and help police maintain public safety. The proposed resolution comes nearly a year after Haiti's Prime Minister and other top government officials requested the immediate deployment of a foreign armed force as the government struggles to fight violent gangs estimated to control up to 80% of the capital of Port-au-Prince. We tell you now that Barbados Prime Minister Mia Moore-Motley is being touted as one of the main contenders to be the next Secretary General of the United Nations, with a fellow regional leader saying she would get his vote. According to a report published on Sunday in the hallways and back rooms of the United Nations headquarters in New York, Motley is one of several names being floated as likely contenders. The next Secretary General will take office in January of 2027. Motley delivered a strong message last week Friday at the 78th General Assembly of the UN where, among other things, she told rich European states which owe much of their vast wealth to the slave trade in the Caribbean that they may soon be called on to face, again, a vigorous demand for slave reparations. Also in Barbados, Sunday was the hottest day in Barbados on record as the temperature peaked at a sizzling 34.2 degrees Celsius. In addition, it was the highest recorded temperature in the last 18 years based on measurement taken at the Charnock's Christchurch Operations Facility of Barbados Meteorological Service, BMS. Sunday's peak temperature at the Charnock's surpassed Barbados' highest on a record of 33.6 degrees Celsius, which was set in October 1969, according to the BMS. In a statement, director of the BMS, Sabu Bess, revealed that the 34.2 degrees also surpassed a record of 33.1 degrees that was recorded in September 2005.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.